Everyone wants to be heard, but not everyone knows how to speak in a way that truly connects. The ability to express yourself clearly and confidently isn't a talent you're born with. It's a skill you build, step by step. People don't just listen to words. They respond to how those words make them feel, how present you are, and how well you understand them. Great communication is not about using fancy words. It's about being real, relatable, and easy to understand. If you've ever felt misunderstood, ignored, or unsure of what to say in an important moment, then you know how frustrating poor communication can be. But the good news is that can change faster than you think. Today, we're going to break down simple and powerful ways to speak better, connect deeper, and make every conversation count. If you're ready to speak clearly, confidently, and connect with people in a whole new way, then let's dive in. Number 1. Master active listening to enhance your communication skills. Most people talk more than they listen. That's the truth. And it's one of the biggest reasons why their relationships suffer, their careers stall, and their confidence stays stuck. Have you ever felt ignored in a conversation? Like you're speaking, but nobody really hears you? Now turn that around. How often do you think others feel that way when they talk to you? See, we live in a noisy world. Everyone wants to be heard, but very few are willing to listen. And I'm not talking about nodding while someone else speaks. I mean really listening, with your eyes, your ears, your mind, giving someone your full attention in that moment. That's active listening, and it's rare. But here's the good news. You can learn it. You can train yourself to become a better listener. And once you do, your communication skills will shift dramatically. People will start to feel understood around you. They'll open up. They'll trust you more. They'll value your presence in the room. Because most of the world is starving for understanding. When you master active listening, you give that gift. And in return, people want to hear what you have to say. Active listening means you're not thinking about your reply while the other person is talking. You're not waiting for them to finish so you can jump in with your story. You're not trying to sound smart. You're being present fully. And this takes discipline. It takes awareness. But it's worth it. You have to quiet the noise in your mind, the urge to interrupt, to prove a point, to fix things immediately. Instead, give your full attention. You lean in. You stay quiet. You watch the way they speak, their body language, their tone. You listen not just to words, but to emotion. You don't assume. You don't judge. You just receive. This changes the dynamic of every conversation you have, whether with a friend, a client, your boss, or your partner. Because when people feel heard, they relax. They stop defending. They become more open to hearing you in return. That's where real communication begins. Now here's what happens when you don't actively listen. You miss the real meaning. You respond to what you think they said, not what they actually meant. And that leads to misunderstandings, arguments, and broken trust. Think about the last time someone misunderstood you, how frustrating it was. That's what happens when people just wait to talk instead of listening. Communication breaks down, and the damage adds up. But active listening reverses that. It shows maturity. It shows patience. It shows respect. And respect is what opens doors in this world, not just professionally, but personally too. It earns loyalty, it builds relationships, and it makes you stand out in a room full of noise. Here's something else to think about. Active listening is not just being silent. Silence is part of it, yes, but real listening is active. It means you give signals that you're present. You nod. You maintain eye contact. You respond with brief acknowledgements like "I see" or "that makes sense." You might paraphrase what they said. "So what I'm hearing is, this situation really stressed you out." That simple sentence shows you're paying attention. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. People will remember how you made them feel. If they feel like you cared, they'll keep coming back to talk to you. A big reason most people don't listen well is because they've never practiced. But like any skill, you get better the more you work at it. Start small. Today, just pick one conversation and decide that you'll really show up for it. Put the phone down. Stop looking around. Don't think ahead. Just be in it. Let the other person finish. Pay attention to their tone, the speed of their voice, the tension in their words. You'll start to hear things you never noticed before. And people will feel the difference. They'll say, "Talking to you just feels easier." That's not an accident. That's the power of active listening. Let me remind you, this isn't just about being polite. This is a communication skill. And in today's world, it's a rare one. Your ability to listen is directly connected to your ability to lead, influence, and build meaningful relationships. It's not just useful, it's essential. Whether you're a manager, a parent, a friend, or someone who wants better connections, this is where it begins. The greatest communicators aren't the best talkers, they're the best listeners. They know how to pause. They know how to give space. They know that people open up when they feel safe. And safety begins with silence and presence. One reason active listening works so well is because it taps into something every human being wants, to be seen and heard. That's universal. When you give that to someone, you become valuable to them. Not because you solved their problems, but because you offered your full attention. And that's rare. That's meaningful. That's leadership. The world doesn't need more people talking. It needs more people who know how to hear, who know how to listen with care, with curiosity, with patience. When you become that person, you gain influence. You become a better partner, a stronger professional, a more trusted voice. This applies in your career too. Whether you're in a meeting, a job interview, or on a team, the person who listens actively always stands out. They make people feel understood. They avoid mistakes. They pick up on things others miss. And they become the go-to person others turn to when it matters. All because they know how to stay quiet and fully tuned in. That kind of attention is magnetic. It creates a presence, a quiet strength that others respect. Start practicing today. Catch yourself when your mind wanders. Refocus. Watch the speaker. Don't fill the silence too quickly. Let the other person think. Give them room. Ask them, "What do you mean by that?" or "Tell me more." And then really listen. The answers you get will often surprise you. You'll hear truth. You'll hear fear. You'll hear emotion. And in those moments, you'll realize that communication isn't about saying the right thing. It's about understanding the other person deeply first. Then your response becomes more powerful, more effective, more human. If you want to be a better communicator, don't just focus on what to say. Focus on what to hear. That's the beginning of true connection. Active listening is not something you master overnight, but every day you practice it, you become better. You gain more control over your reactions. You make fewer assumptions. You speak with more clarity because you understand more clearly. And that's how you start to transform the way people experience you. Because in a world full of distractions, the person who truly listens becomes unforgettable. Number 2, use clear and concise language for better understanding. Most people talk, but they don't connect. They say a lot, but leave others confused. They explain things, yet no one really gets the point. That's the trap of unclear language. And the hard truth is, if people don't understand you, they won't remember you. They won't follow you. They won't trust you. And it's not because they're not smart. It's because you didn't make it easy for them to understand. In everyday conversations, in meetings, in interviews, in emails, people tune out the moment things feel complicated. That's not their fault. That's the responsibility of the speaker. And if you want to stand out in this noisy world, if you want people to really hear you, you must learn to speak clearly and simply. Clarity isn't about dumbing things down. It's about making your words easier to absorb. It's about cutting through the fog. And too many people think using big words makes them sound smarter. It doesn't. It makes them sound distant. People don't trust what they don't understand. If your message is buried under long sentences, fancy vocabulary, and extra fluff, it gets lost. But when your message is clear and direct, it hits, it lands, it sticks. And people respect that. They remember what you say, they understand what you want, and they respond better because there's no confusion in the room. Think about how it feels when someone gives long-winded answers that go in circles. You lose patience. Your mind starts to drift. You wait for them to get to the point, and sometimes they never do. That's what happens when we don't respect the power of concise language. Being concise doesn't mean being cold or robotic. It means being respectful of people's time and attention. It means getting to the point without losing the message. It means speaking with intention instead of rambling without direction. You have to train yourself to strip away what's unnecessary. Get to the core of what you want to say. Ask yourself, what's the real message here? If you only had 30 seconds to explain it, what would you say? That's where the strength lies. And it takes effort. Most people try to sound impressive, but the most powerful communicators focus on being clear. They pause. They slow down. They choose their words carefully, not to impress, but to express. That shift in mindset changes how people experience you. Here's another truth. When your words are clear, your confidence grows. You no longer worry about being misunderstood. You stop over-explaining yourself. You stop needing to fill every silence. That freedom allows you to be more present in conversations. You respond more naturally. You connect more authentically. Clarity doesn't just help others, it helps you show up with strength. The real world doesn't reward you for how much you know. It rewards you for how well you communicate what you know. You could be brilliant, but if no one understands you, that brilliance never sees the light of day. People don't take action based on complicated language. They move when they hear something simple, something direct, something they feel they can do. Clear language drives results. And if you want influence, if you want leadership, you must get good at this. Watch how great communicators speak. They don't use filler. They don't try to sound academic. They don't wander around the point. They speak with rhythm. They speak with impact. And that starts with making things simple, not complex. A powerful message doesn't need 300 words when 30 will do. And that doesn't mean you rush. It means you cut the noise. You remove the extra layers. You give people what they came for, a message they can hold on to. Here's a practical way to start. Take something you often talk about, maybe your work, your passion, your idea, and practice explaining it in 2 or 3 sentences. Make those sentences strong, clear, and free of filler. Say it out loud. Listen to yourself. Ask, does this make sense to someone who doesn't know what I know? If it doesn't, you're not done. Keep working on it. This is a muscle, and the more you practice it, the stronger you get. You also need to watch the length of your sentences when you speak. Shorter thoughts land better. They give space for people to breathe, to think, to digest. If you run on and on, people can't keep up. They get tired. Communication is not a test of how much you can say. It's a test of how well you can make someone understand. And that starts with trimming the excess. A common mistake people make is over-explaining. They fear silence, so they keep adding more words to make sure they're understood. But more words don't always help. In fact, they often cause confusion. Learn to say what you mean, then stop. Let your words do the work. Trust that clear language creates clear thinking, and clear thinking earns you respect. Another thing, know your audience. Speak their language. Don't use terms they don't know. Don't assume they're on the same page. Your job is to meet them where they are. The better you understand who you're talking to, the better you'll tailor your message. Clarity also means relevance. You don't just talk clearly, you talk meaningfully. You say what matters to them, and that's how you build connection. In professional settings, this becomes even more important. People are busy. Time is tight. If you can explain your ideas in a clear, simple way, you save everyone time and earn their trust. You become someone people listen to. You move projects forward. You get your ideas approved. Because you didn't waste anyone's time. You gave them clarity, and clarity is value. Clear language also helps reduce anxiety in communication. When you know what you're going to say, and you say it well, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop rambling. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You become more grounded in your message. That calmness shows. People can feel it, and they trust it. Confidence is not just in your tone, it's in the way your message lands. And for it to land, it must be clear. Start noticing your habits. Are you adding too many words? Are you saying the same thing twice in different ways? Are you afraid to pause? Begin cutting out the noise. Aim for clarity over cleverness. People are not looking to be impressed. They're looking to be understood. Be the person who gives that gift. You don't need to sound like a speaker. You need to sound like a human being with a message that matters. When you speak clearly, people remember your words. They take your message with them. They repeat it to others. And that's how you build influence. Not by talking more, but by saying what matters in a way they can understand. Every time. Number 3. Maintain eye contact to build trust and engagement. Most people don't even realize they're doing it, looking down, glancing away, checking their phone, or letting their eyes drift while someone else is talking. It happens all the time. In conversations, meetings, interviews, even casual moments with friends and family. And here's the truth that many avoid. When you break eye contact too often, people feel disconnected from you. They feel like you're hiding something, like you're unsure or simply uninterested. And it's not always what you say that causes mistrust. It's what you show. That's why mastering eye contact is one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to build trust and keep people engaged. People can hear your words, but they feel your presence. And your eyes say everything about whether you're truly there. When you maintain eye contact, you're telling the other person, I see you, I'm here with you. What you're saying matters. And that single gesture can completely change the energy of a conversation. It pulls people in. It makes them open up. It tells them they're safe to be themselves around you. But here's where most people go wrong. They think eye contact means staring. It doesn't. Eye contact isn't a power play. It's a connection. It's about being present, not intimidating. It's not about being aggressive. It's about being real. You look someone in the eye not to control them, but to let them know you're listening. You're tuned in. You're involved. And they can feel that. It's not something you fake. It's something you practice until it becomes natural. The reason most people struggle with eye contact is because they're stuck in their head. They're nervous. They're thinking about what to say next. They're worried about being judged. And when your focus is inward, you can't connect outward. Your eyes wander, not because you don't care, but because your attention is divided. The solution is simple. Be fully present. That's what eye contact represents, presence. When you're not trying to perform, when you're not trying to be perfect, you can actually look at someone with honesty and calm. And that's what builds trust. Have you ever spoken to someone who was constantly looking around while you talked to them? It makes you feel like you're not important, like they'd rather be somewhere else. And that subtle feeling stays with you. People might not say it out loud, but they remember how they felt when they were with you. If they felt unseen or unimportant, they'll avoid future conversations. But if they felt heard and respected, they'll come back. Eye contact is that powerful. It builds emotional safety. It creates a connection without saying a word. This applies everywhere, at home, at work, in friendships, on a stage. Whether you're talking to one person or 10 people, your eyes set the tone. They say, I'm confident in myself and I respect you enough to show up fully. That's leadership. That's maturity. And it doesn't come from fancy words. It comes from how you carry yourself in small, simple moments. You can practice eye contact without pressure. Start with short exchanges. The grocery store clerk, the barista, a neighbor. Just hold their gaze for a few extra seconds when you speak. Smile. Be human. Don't overthink it. As it gets more natural, use it in deeper conversations. Look people in the eye when they're telling you something important. Don't interrupt the moment by checking your phone or fidgeting. Stay with them. Show them that they matter. That's how relationships deepen. In professional situations, strong eye contact can be the difference between being remembered and being forgotten. When you speak to a group and you lock eyes with individuals instead of staring off into space, each person feels seen. And that personal connection makes your message stronger. It makes you more relatable, and it increases the chances that people will trust what you say. Because if you're not hiding, they have no reason to doubt you. On the flip side, poor eye contact creates invisible walls. It sends a message you don't intend, that you're unsure, distracted, or dishonest. Even if your words are great, if your eyes are everywhere but the person you're talking to, they won't feel connected. And if they don't feel connected, they won't follow your lead. That's how much nonverbal communication matters. Your eyes do more talking than your mouth ever could. There's also a level of self-respect in maintaining eye contact. When you meet someone's gaze, you're telling them that you value your own voice. You're not shrinking. You're not trying to disappear. You believe in what you're saying, and you're not afraid to stand behind it. That kind of energy is contagious. It encourages others to speak up too. It raises the level of the entire conversation, and you become the person people turn to when they need someone steady. You don't need to be perfect with this. You're not a statue. You'll look away sometimes. That's human. The key is awareness. Don't let your eyes drift because you're uncomfortable. Let them move naturally, but always come back to the person you're speaking to. Let your eyes say, "I'm here with you," and mean it. That sincerity is what leaves a lasting impression. Parents, leaders, teachers, partners, all great communicators understand this. Eye contact is connection. It's attention. It's love in action. When you give someone your eyes, you give them your presence. That might be the most generous thing you can give in a distracted world. It's also the thing people crave the most. We all want to be seen. And it starts with looking, not past someone, not through them, but directly at them. Make it a habit. The next time you talk to someone, notice how you're holding your gaze. Are you present? Are you grounded? Or are your eyes darting away before the words leave your mouth? You'll begin to catch the difference. And as you do, you'll grow. You'll feel more calm, more confident, more engaged, because now you're not just speaking, you're connecting. And people follow connection, not because they have to, but because it feels real. Eye contact is one of the smallest changes you can make with the biggest returns. It costs nothing. It takes no extra time, but it changes everything. Speak with your eyes. Lead with your presence. And watch how people start leaning in when you speak. Number 4, improve your tone and voice modulation for impact. So many people talk like robots, flat and monotone, and then wonder why others don't listen or feel inspired. The reality is, your voice is one of the most powerful tools you have, but too often it's ignored or underused. You may have a brilliant idea, but if you deliver it in a dull, lifeless way, your message loses energy. You lose connection. And when people don't feel engaged, they switch off. The tone and rhythm of your voice carry emotion. They set the mood. They make your words come alive. If your voice is flat, your message becomes invisible, no matter how important it is. When people listen, they don't just hear words, they feel the way you say them. Your tone shows if you're excited, worried, confident, or doubtful. It builds trust or creates distance. Imagine someone speaking in a monotone during an important meeting. Their message feels cold, mechanical, and unimportant. Now imagine that same message spoken with warmth, passion, and emphasis. Suddenly it matters. Suddenly people lean in because they can feel the energy behind the words. That's the power of voice modulation. Many shy away from changing their tone because they fear sounding fake or over the top. But it's not about acting. It's about expressing the natural emotions that live behind your message. Your voice is like a mirror that reflects your inner belief. If you don't believe in what you say, your voice will betray you. But when you tap into genuine feelings and let your voice reflect them, you build authenticity. People can tell when your voice is real. It pulls them closer. Voice modulation means using your pitch, pace, and volume in a way that keeps listeners interested. You don't want to speak in one steady, unchanging tone that puts people to sleep. Instead, you vary your pitch to highlight important points, slow down to let big ideas sink in, and speed up when you want to show enthusiasm. You raise your volume to grab attention and lower it to create intimacy. This variety keeps your audience engaged and makes your message memorable. One reason many struggle with voice modulation is because they're nervous or lack awareness. When we're anxious, we tend to rush through sentences or speak in a single tone. That's the opposite of what keeps people hooked. Instead, practice breathing deeply before speaking. Calm your nerves and be deliberate with your voice. Imagine telling a story. You wouldn't tell every part in the same way, would you? You'd emphasize the exciting bits, pause at the suspenseful parts, and soften when it's personal. That's voice modulation at work. A simple way to start is to record yourself talking about something you care about. Listen to the playback. Notice where your voice sounds flat or rushed. Practice changing your pitch or slowing down. Play with your volume. Over time, you'll develop control. It won't feel forced. It will feel natural because it matches how you truly feel about what you're saying. Pitch isn't about speaking high or low. It's about variety. Even the most powerful speakers change their pitch to emphasize a point or express emotion. If your voice stays on one note, people lose interest. Think of your voice as music. It needs rhythm and changes to keep it alive. This doesn't mean being dramatic or loud all the time. It means using subtle shifts to keep your audience engaged. Pace is another key factor. Speaking too fast can make your message confusing, like a race where no one can keep up. Speaking too slow can bore your audience and make you sound unsure. Find the right balance. Use a slower pace when you want your words to land deeply, and pick up speed when you want to show excitement or urgency. Pauses are powerful too. Silence can emphasize a point or give listeners a moment to think. Don't fear pauses. They're a tool for impact. Volume matters as well. A strong, clear voice commands attention, while a quiet or shaky voice can send the opposite message. Speaking loudly doesn't mean shouting, but it does mean projecting confidence. Make sure your voice fills the space so people don't have to strain to hear you. When you lower your voice, it draws people in, creating a sense of intimacy or seriousness. The contrast between loud and soft moments keeps listeners alert. Improving your tone and voice modulation also means paying attention to your emotions. If you feel bored, stressed, or uninterested, it will show in your voice. That's why your mindset matters. Before speaking, connect with your message emotionally. Why does it matter to you? What do you want others to feel or do? When your heart is in it, your voice naturally reflects that energy. It's easy to think tone is something reserved for actors or public speakers, but every conversation benefits from voice awareness. Whether you're giving a presentation, leading a team meeting, or simply talking to a friend, your voice shapes how your words are received. You can make dry facts come alive. You can turn a simple hello into a warm invitation. You can turn a complaint into a calm request. The way you say things can build bridges or burn them down. You might have experienced moments where someone's voice made you stop and pay attention. Maybe a teacher who made a subject exciting, a friend whose laughter lit up a room, or a leader whose passion was contagious. They weren't necessarily saying anything extraordinary, but their voice made you feel something. That's the impact you want to create. It's not magic, it's a skill you can develop. Practicing this skill doesn't require fancy equipment or special training. It requires self-awareness and a willingness to experiment. Notice your natural speaking habits. Do you speak in a monotone? Do you rush through sentences? Do you speak too softly? Then start changing one thing at a time. Maybe today you slow your pace down a little. Tomorrow you practice raising your volume slightly on key points. Next week you try pausing before important ideas. Each small change builds your presence. There's also power in matching your voice to your message. When you're excited about something, let your voice show it. When you're serious, let your voice be calm and measured. If you're telling a personal story, soften your tone to invite connection. Don't be afraid to express genuine feelings. Your voice is a reflection of your authenticity, and people respond to authenticity more than perfect words. Many avoid working on their voice because it feels vulnerable. But vulnerability is the heart of connection. When you let your voice carry emotion, you invite others to connect with you on a deeper level. That kind of connection turns conversations into relationships. It turns listeners into followers. It turns simple talks into memorable experiences. In moments when you feel stuck or nervous, remember this. Your voice can carry you forward. It can give you strength even when your confidence falters. By improving your tone and modulation, you're not just changing how you sound, you're changing how you show up in the world. You're stepping into a new level of influence and connection. Practice, patience, and presence are the keys. Over time, your voice becomes a tool of power, not a barrier. You become the person people want to listen to because your words come with feeling, your ideas land with impact, and your message moves people. That's the difference tone and voice modulation make. They bring your communication to life. Number 5. Ask open-ended questions to encourage conversation flow. Many conversations fall flat, not because people don't want to talk, but because they're trapped in yes or no answers. When conversations are reduced to simple questions that can be answered with one word, the dialogue shuts down before it really begins. That's a reality most people face every day, whether at work, with friends, or even with family. The frustration comes from wanting to connect but hitting a wall of closed answers. It's hard to keep a conversation alive if you only ask questions that limit the response. When people feel boxed in, they stop sharing. The energy disappears. The opportunity to build trust or understand someone deeply slips away. What separates a dull, lifeless talk from a meaningful exchange often boils down to one simple habit: asking open-ended questions. Open-ended questions don't expect a yes or no. They invite the other person to think, reflect, and share more. Instead of, "Did you like the movie?" you ask, "What did you think about the movie?" Instead of, "Are you feeling better?" you say, "How have you been feeling lately?" These questions open doors. They give space for real thoughts and feelings. They turn one-sided talks into flowing conversations where both sides can discover something new. And that's where connection grows. The power of open-ended questions is that they show genuine interest. When you ask them, you're saying, "I want to understand your perspective." That creates safety. People feel seen and valued. When someone senses your curiosity isn't shallow or forced, they respond with honesty. That's rare. Most people go through life answering surface-level questions, never digging deeper. When you change that pattern, you set yourself apart. You become someone people want to talk to, someone who listens beyond the words. Many people shy away from open-ended questions because they fear silence or don't know how to follow up. The truth is, silence can be your friend. When you ask a question and pause, you give the other person time to think. That pause invites reflection. It shows patience. It says you're really interested. Often the most meaningful answers come after a few moments of quiet. Don't rush to fill every second with your voice. Let the space breathe. That's where genuine conversation grows. Also, open-ended questions help avoid misunderstandings. When someone gives a short or unclear answer, it's tempting to guess what they mean. But guessing leads to confusion or conflict. When you ask questions that require explanation, you get clarity. You understand the real story. That creates trust because people see you're making an effort to get it right, not just assuming or jumping to conclusions. In professional settings, open-ended questions are game changers. Whether you're leading a team, negotiating a deal, or interviewing someone, these questions pull out valuable insights. They encourage problem-solving, creativity, and collaboration. For example, asking, "What challenges are you facing?" opens dialogue about difficulties and potential solutions. Asking, "How do you think we can improve this process?" invites ideas and shows you value others' input. These questions build respect and teamwork, which are crucial in any successful environment. Beyond work, open-ended questions deepen personal relationships. Instead of asking, "Did you have a good day?" which often gets a quick fine, try, "What was the best part of your day?" or "What's been on your mind lately?" These questions invite stories and feelings. They show you care enough to listen deeply. When people share more about their lives, it strengthens bonds. It creates understanding and empathy. You stop skimming the surface and start knowing the person behind the words. It's important to frame these questions with warmth and curiosity. The way you ask matters as much as what you ask. A sincere tone, relaxed body language, and eye contact reinforce that you really want to hear the answer. If you sound rushed, skeptical, or disinterested, the question loses power. People can sense when your curiosity is genuine versus when it's just polite. Practice asking open-ended questions with care, like you're inviting someone to share a piece of themselves. Some examples to keep in your conversation toolkit include, "What was that experience like for you?" "How did that situation affect you?" "What are your thoughts on this?" "Can you tell me more about that?" "What would you do if you could change one thing?" These questions invite reflection and storytelling. They open the door for emotions, ideas, and opinions to surface naturally. Listening is critical when you ask open-ended questions. The moment you get an answer, your job isn't just to wait for your turn to talk. It's to listen deeply and respond thoughtfully. This could mean paraphrasing what they said to confirm understanding, asking follow-up questions, or simply acknowledging their feelings. When people feel heard, they speak more openly. When they speak more openly, the conversation flows freely. It's easy to slip back into closed questions out of habit, especially when conversations feel awkward or you don't know what to say next. That's why practicing is essential. Pay attention to how your questions guide the talk. Notice when the other person shuts down or opens up. Adjust accordingly. You might find that even subtle changes in your wording transform the entire exchange. Open-ended questions also encourage others to think differently. When people explain their thoughts or feelings, they often discover new insights themselves. That makes conversations powerful, not just for connection, but for growth. You become a catalyst for ideas and reflection. You create a space where people feel safe to explore and express themselves fully. One more thing to remember, open-ended questions are not about interrogation. They're about invitation. The goal isn't to overwhelm someone with too many questions or pry into uncomfortable topics. It's to gently encourage dialogue that feels natural and respectful. Read the room. Know when to shift gears or change topics. Respect boundaries. When done well, these questions foster trust rather than suspicion. People often say communication is hard because they run out of things to say. Open-ended questions fix that. They generate conversation, uncover stories, and keep interactions alive. They turn everyday exchanges into moments of connection and understanding. By using them, you give yourself the chance to learn from others and to build relationships that matter. If there's one thing to take away, it's this. Asking open-ended questions is an act of generosity. It shows you value someone's thoughts and feelings enough to invite them to share more. And that simple gesture can change how people see you, how they respond to you, and how your conversations unfold. It's a skill that builds bridges, opens hearts, and creates opportunities. When your words invite others to talk, you become a communicator people respect, trust, and remember. Number 6. Practice empathy to connect emotionally with your audience. It's a common experience to feel disconnected during conversations, even when people are physically present. You might have noticed how sometimes, despite everyone being in the same room, the emotional connection is missing. This disconnect is real and happens often because too many of us focus only on speaking our own minds, forgetting that communication isn't just about words, it's about feelings. Most people want to be understood, not just heard. When that emotional bridge is missing, words feel empty. The distance grows. That's where empathy comes in. Empathy isn't just a soft skill or a nice-to-have trait. It's the core of powerful communication. It's what transforms a simple exchange of information into a meaningful connection. It's what turns strangers into friends, colleagues into collaborators, and ideas into shared understanding. Empathy means putting yourself in someone else's shoes. It's about sensing what they're feeling, not just what they're saying. Imagine listening not just to respond, but to feel their joy, frustration, or concern. That shift changes everything. It creates an atmosphere where people feel safe, respected, and valued. When you practice empathy, your words carry weight because they come from a place of genuine care. People pick up on that. Their guard lowers, their hearts open. Many people avoid empathy because it feels risky. It means being vulnerable, stepping outside yourself, and showing that you care deeply. Sometimes it's easier to stay in your own bubble and just get through the conversation. But avoiding empathy leaves you isolated. It leaves your message cold and distant. Empathy connects you to the human side of communication. That's where real influence and impact happen. Empathy starts with listening differently. It requires attention not only to words, but to tone, body language, and pauses. If someone's voice shakes or their eyes look down, that tells you more than words ever could. Noticing those signals is the first step in understanding their emotional state. Instead of jumping in with your own thoughts, take a moment to acknowledge what you're sensing. That might be as simple as saying, "I can see this is hard for you," or "You sound excited about that." These small acknowledgements let people know you're tuned into their feelings, not just the facts. When you connect emotionally, it changes the way your message lands. People are more open to hearing you when they feel you understand them. It's hard to argue with someone who seems to truly get your point of view. Empathy builds trust. It breaks down barriers, and it opens doors to collaboration and change. Empathy also helps you tailor your communication. When you're aware of what someone's feeling, you can adjust your words, tone, and pace to meet them where they are. For example, if someone is upset, a calm and gentle voice will resonate better than a harsh or rushed tone. If they're excited, matching their energy shows you share their enthusiasm. This kind of emotional tuning makes your message stronger and more persuasive. People often confuse empathy with sympathy, but they are very different. Sympathy is feeling sorry for someone, which can create distance. Empathy is feeling with someone. It creates connection. It's an active process that requires focus and intention. Empathy asks you to step beyond your own experience and truly engage with another's reality, no matter how different it may be. In everyday life, practicing empathy can feel challenging. It demands patience and effort, especially when emotions run high, but the payoff is immense. When you empathize, you reduce misunderstandings and conflict. You create a space where honest dialogue can flourish. Even disagreements can become opportunities for growth rather than division. Empathy also strengthens your presence. When you connect emotionally, people remember you not just for what you said, but how you made them feel. That emotional impact leaves a lasting impression. it influences relationships beyond the moment of conversation. You become someone people want to listen to, someone who inspires loyalty and respect. Developing empathy requires practice and awareness. Start by slowing down and focusing on the person in front of you rather than thinking about what you'll say next. Observe their expressions, listen to the emotions behind their words, and respond with kindness and understanding. Over time, this habit becomes natural. Your conversations become richer, fuller, and more rewarding. Empathy doesn't mean you have to agree with everything the other person says. It simply means recognizing their feelings as valid. This acceptance creates a foundation for honest, respectful communication, even in disagreement. When people feel their emotions are acknowledged, they're more likely to listen to your perspective as well. In professional settings, empathy is a leadership tool. Leaders who practice empathy build stronger teams. They understand the concerns and motivations of their people. This understanding allows them to guide, support, and inspire effectively. Empathy encourages collaboration and innovation because it creates an environment where everyone feels valued. In personal relationships, empathy deepens bonds. It helps you support loved ones during tough times and celebrate their successes. It moves communication beyond facts to shared experience. That emotional connection is what makes relationships meaningful and resilient. Empathy also protects you from misunderstandings that can cause pain or conflict. By tuning into feelings, you catch issues early. You avoid assumptions and judgments that might damage trust. Instead, you respond with compassion, which strengthens relationships over time. It's important to recognize that empathy is a two-way street. While you practice empathy toward others, be open to receiving it as well. When you share your feelings and someone responds with understanding, it builds mutual respect and closeness. This exchange makes communication more authentic and fulfilling. One of the biggest barriers to empathy is distraction. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to be physically present but mentally absent. Phones, noise, and multitasking pull attention away from the person you're with. Overcoming this requires intention. Put away distractions and focus fully on the conversation. Show with your body language and expressions that you're fully engaged. This simple shift signals respect and invites emotional connection. Empathy isn't just a skill to learn, it's a mindset to embrace. It's about valuing people beyond their words or actions. It's about honoring their humanity in every exchange. When you make empathy the foundation of your communication, you become a source of comfort and inspiration. This mindset will change not only how you speak, but how you listen and respond. You'll notice more openness, trust, and warmth in your interactions. People will feel understood and appreciated, and through those connections, you'll find your communication skills transformed in ways that simple techniques alone can't achieve. Empathy connects you with the heart of communication. It turns words into bridges and conversations into relationships. Without it, communication remains shallow and transactional. With it, you become a communicator who inspires, uplifts, and truly connects. That is the power of empathy. Number 7, organize your thoughts before speaking for clarity. Far too often, people jump into conversations without a clear idea of what they want to say. It's a struggle everyone faces. The mind gets crowded with so many ideas and feelings, and the words don't come out the way you hope. You might feel your message becomes jumbled, leaving the listener confused or uninterested. This is a harsh reality. Speaking without preparation often leads to misunderstanding and missed opportunities. Clear communication is rarely accidental. It's the result of a well-organized mind. When you organize your thoughts before speaking, you create clarity not only for yourself, but for the person listening. This clarity makes your message powerful and memorable. The first step to organizing your thoughts is understanding your main purpose. What exactly do you want to say? What is the core message? Often, people try to cover too much ground at once, which dilutes the impact of their words. Focusing on a single key point helps to keep the conversation sharp and purposeful. It's like a beam of light cutting through the noise, grabbing attention and holding it. When you know your main idea, everything else should support and lead back to it. Once the purpose is clear, think about the order of your points. Random thoughts create confusion. Imagine trying to build a house with bricks scattered without order. The structure won't stand. The same applies to communication. Organizing your points logically, step by step, allows the listener to follow your train of thought easily. A good structure starts with an introduction to your idea, followed by the supporting facts or examples, and ends with a clear conclusion or call to action. This pattern helps your audience digest information without feeling overwhelmed. Another reason for poor organization is rushing. People often feel pressured to speak quickly, especially in meetings or social settings. But speed kills clarity. When you slow down and take a moment to gather your thoughts, your words become more intentional and precise. Silence is not your enemy. Pausing before speaking allows your brain to align ideas, making your message more coherent. This pause can also make your delivery more confident because it shows you're thoughtful and in control. Writing things down is a practical way to organize thoughts, especially for important conversations or presentations. Putting ideas on paper or typing them out forces you to arrange points clearly. It reveals gaps or redundancies you might not notice in your head. Preparing notes doesn't mean reading a script word for word, but having a roadmap to keep you on track. Many successful speakers credit their clarity to preparation and jotting down key ideas beforehand. Clarity in speech is also tied to simplicity. When your thoughts are organized, it's easier to avoid complicated sentences or jargon that confuse listeners. Simple language paired with a clear structure makes your message accessible. Everyone appreciates straightforward communication because it saves time and prevents misunderstandings. Clear communication is a gift you give to others by respecting their time and attention. Organizing your thoughts also helps manage emotions during conversation. When emotions run high, it's easy to lose control and let feelings jumble your words. If you prepare mentally by structuring your message, it acts like a buffer against emotional overwhelm. You stay focused on your point instead of getting sidetracked by reactions or distractions. This control makes your communication stronger and less reactive. Another benefit of organized thoughts is increased confidence. Knowing what you want to say and how you plan to say it calms nervousness. It reduces the fear of stumbling or forgetting important points. Confidence is not about being perfect, but about being clear and purposeful. Listeners respond to that. They sense when someone speaks with intention and clarity, and it commands respect. In real-life situations, organizing your thoughts can happen quickly with practice. Before responding in a conversation, take a breath and mentally outline your response in 3 parts: the main idea, supporting detail, and conclusion. This simple framework brings order to your words and makes your speech easier to follow. You don't need to be formal or rehearsed, just clear and concise. It's also useful to anticipate questions or objections. When you organize your thoughts, you prepare for possible reactions from others. This foresight allows you to address concerns calmly and effectively without scrambling for answers. Anticipating the audience's response is a strategic part of communication that builds your credibility. Being organized in speech goes beyond formal settings. Everyday interactions benefit greatly from clarity. Whether you're explaining a problem to a friend, sharing instructions at work, or discussing plans with family, structured communication saves frustration. People are more likely to engage with you and act on your message when it's clear and logical. Improving this skill requires awareness. Pay attention to moments when your message isn't getting through. Reflect on whether your thoughts were scattered or rushed. Use those experiences as opportunities to practice better organization next time. Over time, Clear communication becomes a habit, not a struggle. Organizing your thoughts before speaking doesn't mean losing spontaneity. It means giving your message a backbone so it stands firm and makes sense. It's about turning your ideas into a story that others can easily follow and remember. The more you do this, the more natural it feels, and the stronger your influence grows. In summary, clarity is the foundation of effective communication. It demands that you pause, focus, and arrange your ideas logically before speaking. This process transforms random thoughts into powerful messages that inspire understanding and action. Speaking with clarity opens doors to connection and success because it respects both your message and your listener's need for understanding. Your voice is your tool. Organized thoughts shape that tool into something sharp and precise. Without it, your message may drift, confusing those you want to reach. With it, your words build bridges and create real impact. This discipline of organizing your thoughts is a simple yet profound way to improve your communication skills every day. Number 8. Eliminate filler words to sound more confident and clear. In every conversation, there are moments when words like like, you know, and so sneak into our speech without invitation. These filler words seem harmless, almost invisible, but they have a deeper effect than most realize. They chip away at the strength of what you say. They create hesitation and confusion, making your message weaker and your presence less commanding. Many people don't even notice how often these fillers pop up. Yet those subtle pauses filled with empty sounds send a message of doubt, insecurity, or unpreparedness to the listener. This is a truth that's hard to ignore. Filler words lower your credibility, distract your audience, and cloud the clarity of your communication. Almost everyone struggles with filler words at some point, especially when nervous or unsure. These words fill silence that feels uncomfortable, but silence itself is powerful. It gives weight to your thoughts. The reality is, most people would rather listen to a pause than a meaningless Those brief silences give your mind time to catch up and your audience time to absorb your message. The challenge is training yourself to accept that stillness without rushing to fill it. Recognizing filler words is the first step. Many don't hear themselves clearly until they receive feedback or record their voice. When you become aware of your habits, it's easier to take control. Awareness shines a light on the problem and opens the door for change. But changing speech patterns is not quick or easy. It demands patience and deliberate practice. The next step is slowing down your speech. When you speak too fast, your brain races ahead, searching for the next word or phrase. In that gap, filler words slip in like noise. Speaking slower gives your mind the time it needs to find the right words naturally. It builds confidence because you're not rushing blindly. You speak with intention, and every word counts. Pause is your greatest ally. Instead of saying to fill space, pause silently for a moment. This small break may feel uncomfortable at first, but it carries power. Pauses allow listeners to digest what you just said. They create rhythm and emphasis. Imagine how much stronger your message sounds when you use pauses thoughtfully between ideas. Pausing is not a weakness, it's a tool that commands attention and respect. Replacing filler words also means building a habit of conscious speaking. Pay attention to when filler words appear. Are they coming before an important point? When you feel uncertain? Catching these moments helps you to replace hesitation with calm confidence. It might help to write down or mentally note your common filler words so you can spot them more easily. Practicing speaking aloud without filler words is essential. This might mean rehearsing short speeches, reading passages, or simply talking to yourself. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to speak cleanly. This practice is like exercise for your voice and mind, strengthening the muscle of clear communication. Another helpful tactic is to prepare your key messages in advance. When you have clear points ready, your mind is less likely to wander or get stuck searching for words. Preparedness reduces uncertainty, and with less uncertainty, filler words lose their grip. The more prepared you are, the smoother your speech flows. Filler words often sneak in when we're unsure of what to say next or when we're trying to think on the fly. Organizing your thoughts before speaking, even briefly, reduces these moments. When your ideas are lined up in your mind, your words follow suit with clarity. This connection between preparation and filler word elimination is strong and often overlooked. It's important to remember that no one becomes a perfect speaker overnight. Even the best communicators pause or hesitate sometimes. What separates confident speakers is the awareness and effort to minimize those moments. When you make the choice to reduce filler words, your voice gains strength and your message carries more weight. Confidence grows as you eliminate filler words. Each time you resist the urge to fill silence, you reinforce control over your speech. Confidence is felt by your audience. They see it in your calm, clear delivery. People listen differently to someone who speaks deliberately and without unnecessary noise. Your presence becomes more commanding and your ideas become more persuasive. Cutting filler words improves more than just your voice. It sharpens your thinking. When you focus on clarity, your mind learns to be more precise. This clarity spills over into how you structure your ideas and respond in conversations. You start to think with more discipline, which leads to better communication overall. Silencing filler words also improves your ability to connect emotionally. Clear, confident speech invites trust and openness from others. When your words are sharp and intentional, your audience is more likely to feel engaged and respected. This connection is the heart of effective communication, bridging the gap between speaker and listener. Sometimes it helps to practice with a trusted friend or coach who can gently point out filler words when they appear. This outside perspective is invaluable because it's hard to catch your own habits while speaking. Feedback creates accountability and motivates improvement. In professional situations, eliminating filler words changes how others perceive your competence. It affects job interviews, presentations, negotiations, and everyday meetings. Clear, confident speech signals that you are prepared and reliable. It shows you respect your message and your audience's time. That respect builds opportunities and advances your goals. For personal relationships, this skill helps too. When you speak clearly without filler words, your family and friends hear your true intentions. Misunderstandings reduce because your words carry less noise and more meaning. Relationships grow stronger when communication is honest and direct. Building this habit takes time, but every step forward is progress. Celebrate small wins when you notice you've gone longer without filler words. Each moment of clear speech is a victory that strengthens your voice and your confidence. This journey towards clean, confident speaking is one of the most valuable investments you can make in yourself. At the core, eliminating filler words is about respect for your own ideas and respect for the person listening. It's about showing up fully and speaking with purpose. When you do this, you transform from someone who just talks into someone who truly communicates. The power in your voice is waiting to be unlocked. Removing filler words opens the door to that power. In this effort, be patient and persistent. Awareness and practice create lasting change. Your voice deserves to be heard clearly, and your message deserves to be understood fully. When you take control over your speech and eliminate filler words, you step into your full potential as a confident and effective communicator. Number 9. Pay attention to non-verbal cues and body language. There's a moment everyone experiences when they speak to someone, but it feels like the message just isn't getting through. The words leave your mouth, but the other person's eyes wander, their arms fold, or their face tightens in frustration. It's confusing and frustrating because you thought you were clear. The reality is, communication isn't just about the words we say. More often than not, what we don't say speaks louder. Body language, facial expressions, posture, and gestures make up a huge part of how messages are sent and received. Overlooking these nonverbal signals means missing out on the full picture of communication. People naturally rely on nonverbal cues to understand emotions and intentions. When you speak, your body is broadcasting signals whether you realize it or not. If your body language doesn't match your words, it causes confusion or distrust. For example, saying "I'm confident" while avoiding eye contact and slouching sends mixed signals. Your listener notices this mismatch, and it weakens your message. Paying close attention to nonverbal cues sharpens your awareness of the other person's feelings and reactions. When someone crosses their arms, it might be a sign of defensiveness or discomfort. If their head tilts slightly or they lean forward, it often means they are interested or engaged. Recognizing these signals gives you a clearer understanding beyond the surface words. It's a skill that can help you respond appropriately and build stronger connections. Understanding your own body language is just as important. Your stance, facial expressions, hand movements, and even the tone of your breath all communicate something. Standing tall with shoulders back signals confidence. Open palms show honesty and openness. Smiling warmly invites connection. When you consciously align your body language with your message, it creates harmony and trust. One of the biggest hurdles is that people often don't realize their own nonverbal habits. Nervous tics, fidgeting, or avoiding eye contact can undermine your message without you knowing. Self-awareness here is crucial. Recording yourself or practicing in front of a mirror helps identify these habits. Once you see them, you can work to change them. Facial expressions are a powerful part of nonverbal communication. The face is a mirror to emotions. A genuine smile relaxes the listener and builds rapport. Conversely, a furrowed brow or tight lips can make people feel tense or judged. Mastering the ability to control your facial expressions means you control part of how your message is felt. Eye contact is a critical piece of this puzzle. It's not just about looking at someone, it's about connecting. Proper eye contact shows respect and attention. Too little eye contact can come across as disinterest or insecurity. Too much can feel aggressive or uncomfortable. The right balance opens a channel of trust and engagement. Posture also speaks volumes. Leaning slightly forward signals you're involved and attentive. Slouching or turning away creates distance and disinterest. When standing or sitting, the way you hold your body influences how people perceive you. Good posture creates a presence that commands attention. Hand gestures, when used thoughtfully, emphasize key points and make your speech more dynamic. Hands moving naturally can help illustrate what you're saying. However, excessive or erratic gestures can distract and confuse. Learning to use hand gestures in sync with your words enhances clarity and keeps the audience engaged. The way you physically position yourself in relation to others carries meaning too. Stepping closer can show interest and warmth. Standing too far away might seem cold or detached. Being aware of personal space and cultural differences here is important. Adjusting your distance appropriately fosters comfort and openness. Listening to the other person's body language also helps you adjust your approach. If they appear tense or closed off, you can soften your tone or slow your pace. If they nod and smile, you can move forward confidently. This kind of feedback loop makes conversations smoother and more effective. Non-verbal cues are often unconscious, but they influence how messages are interpreted in powerful ways. A firm handshake can set the tone for an interaction. A genuine hug can express support better than words ever could. Recognizing the weight of these actions highlights how communication is much more than spoken language. Practicing mindfulness during conversations improves your sensitivity to nonverbal signals. When you stay present and observe carefully, you catch subtle clues that others miss. This skill grows with experience and intentional focus. It opens doors to deeper understanding and stronger relationships. It's important to remember that context matters. The same gesture or expression can mean different things depending on the situation and the person. Reading nonverbal cues accurately requires knowing the person, the environment, and the cultural background. When you combine this knowledge with observation, your communication becomes much more effective. Your ability to control and read body language becomes an invaluable asset in both professional and personal settings. At work, it helps you lead meetings, negotiate deals, and connect with colleagues. In personal life, it strengthens bonds with family and friends by showing empathy and attention. Ignoring body language risks creating misunderstandings that could have been avoided. When your words say one thing but your body says another, it breeds doubt. When you pay attention to these nonverbal messages, you increase clarity and reduce conflict. Developing this skill starts with awareness. Observe people in everyday situations, how they stand, how they react when someone speaks, how they express emotions without words. Notice your own body language in different settings. Practice adjusting your posture, expressions, and gestures to fit your message. Next, practice matching your body language with your spoken words. When you're calm, open, and sincere physically, it reflects in your speech. When you're nervous or unsure, work to steady your body and breathe deeply to project confidence. This connection between mind and body strengthens your communication power. Learning to read nonverbal signals also means becoming comfortable with silence and stillness. Sometimes what's not said carries the heaviest weight. Watching for a slight hesitation, a pause, or a shift in posture can give you clues about how the conversation is going. This awareness lets you adjust your tone or words to meet the moment. At its core, paying attention to nonverbal cues is about respect and connection. It's a way to show that you are fully present and engaged with the other person. It signals that you care enough to listen beyond words and respond with understanding. This level of attentiveness builds trust and deepens relationships. The power of nonverbal communication often surprises people once they become aware of it. It's like a hidden language that operates beneath the surface, shaping every interaction. Mastering this language is a game changer for anyone serious about improving their communication skills. Consistent practice in noticing and controlling nonverbal cues brings lasting change. You will start to feel more confident, more connected, and more effective in every conversation. Your presence will command respect, and your words will carry weight because your whole self is aligned with your message. This skill sets you apart because it's rarely taught, yet it makes all the difference. It's the difference between talking and truly communicating. It transforms ordinary exchanges into meaningful dialogue. Number 10. Stay mindful of your audience's perspective and needs. There is a truth that many overlook. Communication is never truly about what you want to say. It's about what the other person needs to hear. Too often, people prepare their words from their own perspective alone, focused on their message without stepping into the shoes of their audience. This creates a barrier that prevents connection. When your message doesn't resonate, it doesn't matter how well you speak, it falls flat. The harsh reality is that if you ignore the viewpoint and needs of your audience, your communication will fail to make the impact you desire. Most people think communication is a one-way street, an opportunity to showcase knowledge, opinions, or instructions. But it's actually a two-way process, requiring attention to who's listening. Understanding your audience means seeing beyond your own thoughts and feelings. It means asking yourself, what do they know already? What matters to them? What challenges are they facing? What emotions are under the surface? Without this mindset, your words risk sounding irrelevant, confusing, or even insensitive. To communicate effectively, you must step outside your own world and see the conversation through their eyes. Imagine their expectations and concerns. What are they hoping to gain from this interaction? What questions might they have? What doubts or fears could be influencing their reception? This kind of empathy is the cornerstone of meaningful communication. It turns a monologue into a dialogue. When you are mindful of your audience, you adjust your language, tone, and content to fit their level of understanding. Technical jargon that might feel natural to you can be overwhelming to others. Speaking too quickly or with too much detail can confuse or bore them. On the other hand, oversimplifying important ideas can feel condescending. Striking the right balance requires sensitivity and careful thought. You don't just tailor the words, but also the way you present information. If your audience is stressed or distracted, long explanations won't work. You must be concise and direct, offering clear takeaways. If they are curious and open, you can dive deeper and invite questions. Reading these signals keeps communication relevant and effective. The tone you use matters tremendously. A tone that is harsh or dismissive pushes people away. A warm, respectful tone invites openness and trust. Being aware of the emotional state of your listeners helps you modulate your voice and choice of words accordingly. You build bridges instead of walls when you respect where your audience is emotionally. One of the biggest mistakes is assuming everyone thinks like you do. We all filter the world through our own experiences, beliefs, and knowledge. What makes perfect sense to you may be confusing or irrelevant to others. Being mindful means constantly checking yourself and asking, am I meeting them where they are? Am I speaking their language? Am I addressing what they care about most? Listening carefully before and during conversations is crucial. The more you understand your audience's perspective, the more effectively you can respond. When you listen, you gather clues about what they value, what worries them, and what motivates them. This insight shapes your message so it lands with clarity and impact. Mindfulness of your audience also means being patient and flexible. Not every conversation will go as planned. People may respond unexpectedly or raise objections. Instead of getting defensive or pushing harder, recognize these moments as opportunities to learn and adapt. Being open to feedback, even unspoken feedback through body language, strengthens your connection. In group settings, this skill is even more important. Different people bring different perspectives and needs. Some may be eager to talk, others hesitant. Some want detailed data, others a quick summary. Being mindful means scanning the room, noticing reactions, and adjusting your approach so no one feels left out or overwhelmed. Awareness of cultural differences is part of this too. What's polite, persuasive, or engaging in one culture can be rude or confusing in another. Effective communicators educate themselves on these nuances to avoid misunderstandings. Respecting diversity enriches communication and opens doors that ignorance would slam shut. When you focus on your audience, you become less concerned with yourself and more committed to their benefit. This shift is powerful. It removes ego from the equation and replaces it with genuine service. People sense when you care about them, and that creates a magnetic connection that draws them in. Preparation plays a big role in staying mindful. Before speaking, ask, who am I talking to? What do they want to achieve? What's their background? What tone and words will resonate best? Planning this way shows respect and increases your chances of success. Being mindful also requires you to manage your own emotions. Sometimes we get caught up in our passion or frustration and we forget to pause and consider the audience. When that happens, communication suffers. Staying calm, patient, and open keeps the focus where it belongs, on the listener. In daily life, this practice improves every interaction. Whether you're leading a team, teaching a child, negotiating a deal, or having a difficult conversation with a loved one, remembering the other person's needs changes everything. You move from talking at people to communicating with them. Over time, this habit rewires your communication style. You become naturally attuned to others' feelings and reactions. You anticipate questions before they are asked. You craft your messages with clarity and kindness. This builds trust, influence, and respect. It's important to note that mindfulness is not about manipulation or pandering. It's about genuine connection and respect. It's about making sure your message is received as intended, not twisted by misunderstanding or indifference. This awareness also reduces conflict. Many disputes arise because people feel unheard or misunderstood. When you address the other person's perspective, you ease tensions and open paths for resolution. Communication becomes a bridge rather than a battleground. The most successful communicators in history, whether leaders, teachers, or influencers, share this quality. They listen as much as they speak. They tune into their audience's heartbeat. They know their message only matters if it reaches the listener's heart and mind. Mindfulness is a lifelong skill. It requires ongoing attention and humility. It asks you to set aside assumptions and embrace curiosity. It calls you to respect others as fully human beings with unique stories and needs. In practice, mindfulness means asking questions, observing reactions, adapting language, and showing empathy. It means giving your full attention and being present in every conversation. This simple yet profound change in perspective transforms communication from a mere exchange of words into a powerful tool for connection, influence, and growth. It makes your message count and your voice matter. It turns ordinary talks into moments that inspire, motivate, and move people forward.